Initially, Israel hesitated to accept Trump's 20-point Gaza peace plan, even as global pressure mounted. However, both Israel and Hamas have now agreed to its framework, marking a rare moment of convergence. In fact, Israel has already begun withdrawing its troops from Gaza as part of the first phase of the deal. Yet, history reminds us to remain cautious. Israel has often taken a step back after similar agreements in the past, particularly when it comes to Palestine. For many observers, this won't be a surprise. It has been a familiar pattern in a decades-long story, which is Israel agreeing on paper, only to pull back later under the pretext of security, politics, or shifting priorities. Let's trace this history, not just through the accords themselves, but through the pattern of Israeli hesitation and reversal that has defined them. The UN Partition Plan of 1947 envisioned two states, one Jewish, one Arab. The Jewish leadership accepted it, but immediately after independence in 1948, Israel expanded far beyond the UN-proposed borders during the ensuing war. The armistice agreements of 1949 created the so-called Green Line, but Israel never treated it as a permanent border. Instead, it became a launchpad for future expansion, with Palestinian displacement, the Nakba, left unresolved. From the very first accord, the Israeli strategy was clear. That is, agree in principle, but consolidate in practice. At Camp David, Egypt regained Sinai, but the Palestinian question was reduced to vague promises of self-government. Israel signed the autonomy clause but never implemented it, arguing the Palestinians were not direct signatories. The result? Egypt got peace, Israel got regional legitimacy, and Palestinians were once again left without a timeline or enforcement mechanism. This was the first major instance where Israel pocketed diplomatic gains, normalization with an Arab power, while deferring Palestinian statehood indefinitely. The Madrid Conference, 1991, opened direct dialogue between Israelis and Palestinians. It was followed by the Oslo Accords, hailed as historic. For the first time, Israel recognized the PLO, and Palestinians accepted Israel's right to exist. But the structure of Oslo, interim arrangements first, final issues later, gave Israel enormous leverage. Israel was supposed to gradually withdraw from the West Bank and Gaza over 5 years. Instead, the occupation deepened. Settlement construction doubled during the Oslo years, particularly in Area C, the very territory meant to be handed over later. Each withdrawal clause was followed by a new condition, a new delay, a new justification: security, terrorism, leadership changes. Oslo's framework allowed Israel to maintain control while appearing to engage in peace. By the time of Oslo II, 1995, the West Bank was divided into areas A, B, and C. Area C, 60% of the land, remained under full Israeli control and still does today. What was meant as a temporary administrative map became a permanent geopolitical reality. The Hebron Protocol, 1997, Wye River Memorandum, 1998, and Sharm el-Sheikh Memorandum, 1999, all followed the same script: commitments to redeploy, followed by political paralysis. Each Israeli government found new ways to delay withdrawal, citing Palestinian non-compliance or violence. The result was a piecemeal peace, where every agreement reduced in scope, and every clause was reinterpreted to preserve the status quo. In 2000, US President Bill Clinton brokered another Camp David summit. Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak presented what the West hailed as a generous offer. But the offer fragmented Palestinian territory, left Israel in control of borders and airspace, and offered no just solution for refugees. When talks collapsed, Israel shifted blame to Arafat, while expanding settlements. The ensuing Second Intifada gave Israel the excuse to remilitarize the West Bank, effectively undoing Oslo. By the early 2000s, the idea of phased peace had collapsed, and Israel had successfully reframed the conflict as a matter of security, not occupation. The 2003 roadmap for peace, backed by the Quartet, required Israel to freeze settlements and dismantle outposts. Instead, construction accelerated. The 2005 Gaza disengagement appeared as a bold move. Israel pulled settlers out of Gaza, but it retained complete control over Gaza's borders, airspace, and maritime access. What was framed as withdrawal became remote occupation. In effect, Israel disengaged responsibility, not control. The Geneva Initiative, 2003, and Annapolis Conference, 2007, showed that workable solutions existed. Yet Israel's political landscape had shifted sharply rightward. Prime Minister Netanyahu's later governments, 2009 onward, systematically undermined any two-state horizon, legalizing outposts and opposing full Palestinian sovereignty. Each US or international proposal was met with rhetorical acceptance but practical resistance, a hallmark of Israel's peace diplomacy. When Israel normalized relations with the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan through the Abraham Accords, it was hailed as peace for peace. But it came at the expense of Palestine. The Palestinian issue was bypassed altogether, replaced by economic deals and defense partnerships. Trump's Peace to Prosperity Plan, 2020, further legitimized Israeli settlements and envisioned a fragmented Palestinian state surrounded by Israeli territory. Israel accepted it enthusiastically because it required no concessions. Palestinians rejected it outright, a peace plan that codified occupation. Now, in 2025, we see the same cycle again. Trump's 20-point Gaza peace deal, involving ceasefire, withdrawal, reconstruction, and governance by a neutral Palestinian committee, was cautiously welcomed by Hamas and several Arab mediators. But Netanyahu's Hebrew remarks soon signaled Israel's retreat. His refusal to commit to clauses on governance and international oversight revived an old truth. Israel engages with peace processes strategically, not ideologically, to buy time, not to make peace. Across decades, Israel's pattern has been consistent and calculated. Security pretext, every withdrawal or concession is made conditional on complete security, an undefined standard that allows indefinite delay. Political survival, Israeli leaders facing domestic opposition often freeze or reinterpret accords to avoid right-wing backlash. Strategic normalization, by making peace with Arab states before resolving Palestine, Israel neutralizes regional pressure while retaining control of occupied territories. Legal ambiguity, the accords' vague language enables Israel to fulfill symbolic obligations while maintaining effective authority on the ground. This is why, after every signature, the ground reality moves further from peace. From the 1947 UN Partition Plan to the 2025 Gaza proposal, every diplomatic milestone has promised balance between Israeli security and Palestinian sovereignty. Yet, in practice, Israel's incremental retreat from its commitments has ensured that peace remains procedural, not political, written in accords, but not realized in life. Until there is a genuine willingness to implement, not just negotiate, and to view Palestinian statehood as an equal right rather than a conditional reward, history will keep repeating itself. The accords may change, the mediators may change, but the pattern remains. Israel signs, the world celebrates, and then, slowly, predictably, Israel steps back.